Welcome back to Crypto Meets AI. Jerry here with an update for you. Do me a favor, friends. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. Now let's get into this. We're sitting at $2.36, and yes, we had that massive crash. We dropped about 33% in probably like a 30-minute period. I seen it as low as $1.27 on BitUnex. People were liquidated. It was blood on the street, and that's what you call a liquidity purge, my friends. It's pretty wild to see the market manipulation here. It just blows my mind. The market bleeds. Charts scream red, liquidations everywhere. But here's the truth. While experts cry manipulation and blame invisible hands, those who understand the game see what's really happening, a liquidity purge. Overleveraged tourists are getting wiped out. Strong hands are loading up, and the servers can't even handle the demand. CoinGlass crashed, volume exploded, wells moved. This isn't fear, it's fuel. The next leg up is being forged right here in chaos. Stay calm, stack smart. Because when the smoke clears, only the disciplined will be rich. If BTC and ETH without use cases can have an advantage over XRP and other utility assets like XLM, it is because they know XRP will leave them both behind once the utility is here. You have to see what is happening with XRP. And I knew this was going to happen, and I said it myself. Your ID, your DNA, your control. DNA protocol replaces government digital IDs with zero knowledge proofs verified on XRPL without ever exposing your data. Private identity starts here. DNA protocol. This is where it all starts. Until this was in place, the institutions were not going to be able to get into this market. They were not going to be able to utilize it as it was intended for. And now you see this big old market crash right before ETFs are most likely coming. Right when this is being implemented, you have to see what's happening. This is all orchestrated and planned. Ondo Finance featured in Reuters. Ondo's approach to institutional-grade tokenization. Done right, tokenization enhances investor protections rather than eroding them. Ondo's Ian DeBode. The Reuters article identifies problems with poorly designed tokenized stocks and ETF models, where other platforms fall short. Lack of traditional investor rights and protections, unclear exposure to dividends, and fragmented liquidity. Ondo Global Markets solves these challenges with tokenized shares that, fully backed by secured U.S. stocks and ETFs held at U.S. registered broker-dealers with legally enforceable ownership rights, mirror the economic performance of their underlying asset, including dividends, inherit liquidity directly from traditional exchanges, enhancing rather than fragmenting market depth. As we outlined in our recent open letter to the World Federation of Exchanges, well-designed tokenized solutions can incorporate robust protections that not only match, but may even improve upon traditional systems through enhanced transparency, instant settlement, and institutional-grade safeguards. Tokenization is not about bypassing security laws. It's about using the technology to make markets more efficient while maintaining traditional standards. They all know Paul Walker, Goldman Sachs, Chris Larson, Ripple, Larry Silbert, Secondary Market DCG, James Freese, ex-FinCEN, and Michael Bloomberg, Bloomberg LP. I may have uncovered something remarkable. I came across language in digital gold, Popper 2015, that appears to have gone largely unnoticed in public discussion. It shows that as early as 2014, major banks and institutions were seeking ways to separate blockchain technology from the inefficiencies of Bitcoin mining. When this is considered alongside primary documents from R3, the BIS, and the U.S. Federal Reserve through its Faster Payments Task Force, a consistent picture emerges. Each institution placed emphasis on speed, security, and settlement without proof of work. The following sections bring together the documents to demonstrate how such priorities developed and where Ripple was present in these discussions. Banks' early rejection of Bitcoin mining inefficiencies. Popper records that by 2014, banks were already distancing themselves from Bitcoin's mine structure. As a result, various banks began looking at ways they could use blockchain technology to make these sorts of large transfers quickly and securely. For many banks, the biggest stumbling block was the inherent unreliability of the Bitcoin blockchain, which is of course powered by thousands of unvetted computers around the world. This increased the desire to find a way to create blockchains independent of Bitcoin. This indicates that financial institutions valued blockchain's potential but regarded Bitcoin's mining process as a barrier to reliability and adoption. Ripple, which does not rely on mining, was positioned to address these concerns. R3 Consortium, Permission DLT and XRP integration. R3 Consortium, formed in 2015 by over 40 global banks, launched its Corda platform as a permission ledger designed to avoid proof-of-work mining. Its technical framework prioritized privacy, finality, and governance, consistent with the institutional language in Popper. In addition, R3 entered into an option agreement with Ripple, provided rights to purchase up to 5 billion XRP at a set price. R3 versus Ripple 2017. This arrangement demonstrated formal commercial alignment. The connection was strengthened in 2018 when R3 released Corda Settler and XRP was the first digital asset integrated for settlement. The BIS, Central Banks on Fast Payments and Non-Mine DLT. The Bank for International Settlements, through the Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure, published a series of reports between 2015 and 2017. Digital currencies separate blockchain technology from volatile cryptocurrencies, enhancing the speed and availability of retail payments, prioritized speed, availability, and security in payment, distributed ledger technology in payment, clearing, and settlement, analyzed DLT models without relying on mining. These reports illustrate how central banks sought frameworks that delivered blockchain benefits while excluding Bitcoin-style mining. The Federal Reserve, faster payments, and Ripple's visibility. The U.S. Federal Reserve advanced its Faster Payments Initiative between 2015 and 2017 through the Faster Payments Task Force. Governor Brainard highlighted distributed ledger technology's potential for payments, clearing, and settlement, while avoiding endorsement of mining-based systems. The FPTF final reports outlined objectives of speed, ubiquity, efficiency, and cross-border reach. Ripple was included in the Federal Reserve's official capability showcase, listed under real-time cross-border transactions. This confirms that Ripple was present in the U.S. Central Bank's evaluation of faster payment solutions. Institutional priorities and Ripple's role. Across these sources, a consistent theme is evident. Banks, as noted by Popper, rejected Bitcoin's mining structure, but sought blockchain settlement. R3 provided a permission alternative and connected directly with XRP. BIS created frameworks for fast, secure payments without proof of work. The Federal Reserve formalized these priorities in its Faster Payments program, where Ripple was explicitly listed as a solution provider. The evidence demonstrates that Ripple was present in institutional initiatives exploring blockchain for settlement and payments. Ripple's Chris Larson says banks are cautious, but once you begin connecting them, the network effect can take hold. Ripple has several European banks in partnership and that are using their products, XRP included. Now we watch the network effect take hold. Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, we just announced that we signed up CBW out of Kansas and Cross River Bank out of New Jersey. And obviously with banks, banks are rightly careful about any new technology for regulatory purposes and for stability purposes. So, these conversations do take a while, 6 months to a year, we think, to really sort of introduce the concept and then how can it be applied and then starting talking about pilots. But we're really pleased. This is the first U.S. banks now on the Ripple protocol. So we think we are starting to get our message out there that these new technologies, distributed ledgers, really can be seen as alternatives, really viable alternatives to correspondent banking. And that's very powerful for particularly these smaller banks that otherwise have to rely on correspondent banks.
Okay. So am I right in thinking the strategy is then to get kind of a nationwide deployment of Ripple? And if so, how is that going to work? What's the strategy?
Yeah, so the strategy really is now first try to get a bank in each of the key regions of the world. Because if you can connect one bank on ACH in the US to one bank on SEPA in Europe, you have effectively connected all of the banks on those two networks. So you really get a multiplier effect. Now we have this Fedor out of Germany on SEPA, and we have now these two U.S. banks on ACH. Now we got to work on China, we got to work in South America, India, and really continue to spread it and get to some of the bank networks. So definitely getting banks as gateways to bring currencies onto the platform is very important. And then along with that, bringing market makers to make markets between those currencies, cross currencies. We've already been pretty successful there. We have about 7 institutional market makers already. Now it's really kind of filling it up with banks.
This technology is going to be very good for the smaller banks, the banks that had to rely on the JP Morgans, the Chase, the US banks, the Bank of America. But these smaller banks, these mom and pop banks, this technology is going to level the playing field for them, and at the same time creating the internet of value. The Ripple XRP takeover of global finance is unfolding step by step. Ripple is now fully licensed to operate in the Middle East, with Bahrain added as a strategic payment hub alongside Dubai. This move finalizes the cross-border regulatory corridor across the UAE, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, and sets the stage for RLUSD to become the institutional bridge currency for the region. Now let's zoom out. The Middle East handles over $156 billion in cross-border payments annually, and Ripple now has the green light to absorb that flow. On top of that, the tokenization of the RWA market in the region is projected to cross $500 billion in the coming decade. Ripple is not chasing headlines, it's building the financial plumbing. By the time everyone realizes what XRP is powering, it'll be too late to be early. Last up, Hedera Foundation. Institutional DeFi requires compliance at every level. That's why Swarm Markets chose to bring tokenized stocks like Apple and Tesla to Hedera. Let's hear what he has to say.
Now, Swarm recently partnered with the Hedera Foundation to launch tokenized US stocks like Apple and Tesla, tradable on-chain 24/7. Why is this the kind of real-time, always-on market important for the future of capital markets?
Yeah, so what they're doing really is bringing DeFi compliant enablement to Hedera through tokenizing U.S. public equities. This is incredible because it not only enables these assets to be represented and available on live, always on 24/7 markets, but it now can interact with the DEXs, the decentralized exchanges, the borrow, lends, or collateralization markets that exist through DeFi infrastructure. And so it's creating new rails and new means to increase the purchasing power associated with these assets. Now, Hedera is perfectly suited for this type of instrument because of the fact that it really has the embedded compliance. Hedera does not enable front running, which is often associated with most public blockchains. And so you have this ability to onboard regulated financial products to a network.
You know, I gotta say it, my friends. The institutions are here. Well, that's what I have for you, folks. Until next time, stay savvy, stay stacking, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and comment down below. And if you want more crypto deep dives, check out our videos right here on Crypto Meets AI. Thank you for watching. Remember to always do your own research. This is not financial advice.